Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro. That listen, bro. Oh my god. Nasty work.
which should have never even made the project, better yet, even be recorded because it's horrible.
Boo this man!
Alright, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. So look. Here's Drake's biggest weakness. His biggest flaw. I talked about this on my other show. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Let's go.
Like, the album cover for this project is two Canadian dudes standing in front of the Marilyn Monroe Tower. Why on earth do you need a Spanish song?
Your verse 7 days, if you know what I mean. I'm up for a week.
Cacophony.
Drake and Party Next Door just released their new album, Some Sexy Love Songs for You, and the album demonstrates Drake's biggest weakness, his lack of maturity in his music. Drake has been one of the most dominant forces in music since the early 2010s, but it seems like after 2016 when Views came, his music became kind of lackluster. It's almost like after the release of that album, he started regressing as a person. And that regression as a person...
I was saying this before, and I've been saying this, and I'm on record saying this. I'm one of the first people to say this. His music isn't maturing with him and his fans. And he definitely is someone who has regressed and has not actually progressed in music, period. He hasn't. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to his music after Views or Views and on, he's been the same artist, the same everything, same subject matter. It's wild.
has stopped him from being able to actually mature with his audience that followed him all these years. Even though Drake is 38 years old, it seems like he's still stuck in the mindset that he was in his early to mid 20s. As he releases more music this decade, that problem becomes more glaring each release. And while in a lot of my videos I clown on Drake a lot, I have listened to Drake all my life pretty much. The first time I even seen or heard Drake was 15 years ago in the Replacement Girl video with Trey Songz on like BT. And he's been one of my favorite artists since then. But when Scorpion came out, something changed. While I think Scorpion does have a lot of good songs and has some of his biggest hits on it, when I listen to that album, it just feels like Drake was trying to please everyone. But that's not how you get true artistry. True artistry doesn't come from just telling the same stories over and over again because it connects with people. It's writing a new story that evolves. And that evolution stems from the different life experiences you go through over the years. And for Drake, it just seems like he's been living the same exact life for over 10 years now. And when you have a fan base that grew...
Well, I think that that's true. I think he has been living the same lifestyle for about 10 years because no one has ever checked him like Kendrick did. But he's been living the same life and he's stuck in a loop. He is a man child. You know what I'm saying? Again, when Kendrick said you 37 is still showing up as a 7-year-old, he really meant that because that's what he is. He has not grown as a man. And you know the crazy thing is, I don't think even if he tried, it won't even work. Because he's so used to that life of being a young man. He's one of those people who want to be forever young. They don't want to mature. They cry when they have grays. Like, I'm one of those. I don't like my grays. But he's probably 10 times worse. Once he start to see grays, he probably have a fit.
With you from their early ages in middle school, high school, and even college, you have to keep in account that those people aren't going to relate to the same story that you've been telling them for the past 10 years. Because all of them have gone through different stages in life. Now, the perspective is different from the different experiences they've encountered over the years. So when the story that you're telling them hasn't evolved from when they first met you, it falls flat over time. And that's the big problem we've seen with Drake this decade. Drake hasn't matured with his audience, and it doesn't seem like he wants to, which is disappointing from a fan's perspective because you would assume Drake has a different perspective that he did 10 plus years ago because of the life experiences he's had through his career and also becoming a father. But after listening to the album, one question that really just rung in my mind was, who is he making music for at 38 years old? And I think that because some of the lines on this album really are just childish. Like on Glorious when he's rapping about a girl who got kicked out of her mom's house, or mentioning how she's wasting her 20s away, or how she's dealing with a guy who doesn't have a car.
It gets to a point, dude.
And when he's rapping about this, it just shows he doesn't really care about that core audience that has grown with him over the years. Even for myself being in my...
I'm going to tell you what I think it is too. I think that's the case, what he's saying. I believe that to be. But I also believe that Drake wants to rap for younger people because someone probably told him that young people is what keep music afloat. And he thinking in his head that, okay, I'm going to continuously rap about subjects that I know people are always going to relate to. But younger people don't relate to a older man talking about younger people things. Like, you know how people say, well, when I back in my day, I went through the same thing you went through, young man. I don't. No, you didn't. You don't know my experience. So Drake's experiences, although they sound similar, they're not the same. Because guess what? He might be saying, rapping about a girl getting kicked out of her mom's house, stuff like that. Some of these young guys, they love that. Some of them hate it. Some of them like girls who toxic. You know what I'm saying? Some of them hate it. And some young men ain't even dealing with these young girls no more. So the relatability isn't there because as you grow, your life experiences is different because society has changed. And I think that that's what it is with Drake.
Mid-20s, I don't even fully relate to all that. And raps like this just sound like he's the Leonardo DiCaprio of rap. And for a guy that brags about women throughout pretty much all of his music, it just makes him seem really pathetic. It's like he's scared of growing.
I don't compare just because Leonardo DiCaprio might deal with younger women. You cannot compare these two dudes. Leonardo DiCaprio, every time he's on screen, it's damn near classic. So you can't. There's no way I would compare them. Maybe because he's older and he deals with younger women. Maybe that's what you're saying. But as far as like lining them up, like acting versus Drake's albums, if you had to line Leonardo DiCaprio up and Drake's albums up and compare it, no, absolutely not. Leonardo is one of the greatest artists to ever live when it comes to the screen, the silver screen. 100%. One of the greatest to ever do it. So I definitely would not compare the two.
At the stage that he's at because he won't be seen as like the cool guy anymore. Even on Nokia, which is a song I actually like, it just seems really odd hearing him rap about like, where's the function at?
Stop it. Get some help.
If you had an uncle or a coworker and they were like, hey bro, where's the function at? You'd be looking at them like they're a loser. Even on Small Town Fame, he has a line where he says, bitch, I feel like Tate McRae. Like, why on earth are you comparing yourself to a 21-year-old? He just makes himself seem like he's trying to capture his own youth through the women that he's with. When you think about that without the star status of him being Drake, he just seems really pathetic and weird. And like I said, if any person in your day-to-day life around his age said that to you, you look at them like they're crazy. Not only that, he's still trying to like buy love from these women.
That price on your love, 10 bands your mind, 20 bands your mind.
Like, Drake obviously is rich as hell and he can afford anything that he wants and can spend money however he wants. But if you're spending millions of dollars a year on women and you cannot keep any of the women in your life, that's a big problem.
About it. Let's talk about it.
At a certain point, you gotta...
Yeah, I 100% agree. Look at all those chains around. Look at all those diamonds around his neck. Those diamonds, he says, allegedly, he says that these are women's, he proposed to. These are women who he proposed to, and they all turned him down or he backed out. Like, I think Drake takes pride in stuff that's like, I don't even know how to explain it. He just takes pride in bullshit. I would put it like that. And he don't. I'm telling you, he was never raised, and this comes from being your father being absent. If you comparing yourself to women, I'll be honest with y'all. I'm not shitting on single motherhood. I'm just saying it should never be single motherhood. It should always be the child should always have the mother and the father in their life 100%. Not no weekend dad. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't believe in that.
look yourself in the mirror and be like, you know what, maybe I should start dating women my age. Especially after Not Like Us, you should be popping out women who are like your age or even older than you, Drake. After being let down by the project, I went back and listened to older Drake, and it's actually crazy because if you go back and listen to like a younger Drake, he actually spoke about women in a much mature way than he does now, which drew more people to his music, especially more black women who are the ones who make music really popular. But post-Heartbreak Drake, we see Drake pretty much become an incel who just has a lot of money and status. He's gone from uplifting women in songs to now literally depicting them as dogs, which is crazy because you're shitting on the same demographic that pushed you into stardom. It's very clear Drake has no problem with dissing women, especially when it comes to black women. He's even done this recently. After Serena made an appearance at the Super Bowl, he posted a picture of himself in 2015 with her longtime agent. He also took a dig at Lucien Grange by posting a picture of his daughter-in-law, Sophia Grange, wearing an OVO sweater. On For All the Dogs, he also sent shots at Rihanna. On her loss, he also sent shots at Megan Thee Stallion. It's just crazy to think that Drake went from making great songs like this
At the crib, you would calm me down when I lose it. Told you I think I'm done acting, I'm on
to making songs like this now.
Girls might trip when you show them the tag. The group chat's lit like, bitch, I'm a gag. Yeah. Life with this guy was a drag.
And Drake's newer music really just shows that.
You know, it's crazy. It really don't sound no different to me. Now that he put those songs side by side like that, it sounds like, it just sounds like it could be on the same album. Doesn't sound different.
What Kendrick said in the last verse of Meet the Grams is very true about him.
37, but you showing up as a 7-year-old. Women problem.
Drake went from rapping about how other people are partying too much and that he's actually focused on making great music.
Y'all niggas party too much, man. I just chill and record. No.
To now being focused on trying to party too much, and now he's just not making as good of music.
My old man, we just get fucked up every night.
And with Drake being at a later stage of his career where
Terrible. That song is terrible. Like, and I ain't saying it's terrible, like, because I don't like Drake or whatever. I just think it's just badly written. It's a bad song. The beat isn't good. It just sounds terrible. It just sounds terrible.
he's not in his prime anymore and he's on the way of being a legacy artist, this is like the perfect time for him to make that new mature album, that Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers or Chromacopia or 444 type of album where it shows growth and maturity of the artist. One of the best examples of showing that maturity is Tyler the Creator's newer music. When the world first met Tyler, he was 19 years old making shock raps. Now you see him at 33 years old rapping about having kids, his past trauma with not having a father in his life, even speaking on the harsh reality of his mother getting older. And it's great to see Tyler being able to do that and grow like that, because if he stayed doing the same thing he was when he first came into the game at 19, people wouldn't care about his music at all. Even if you zoom directly into just the big three, Drake's immediate counterparts, you see Kendrick maturing with Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers, and going through his journey and addressing a lot of his past traumas and where he's at in life in his mid-30s. Even with J. Cole, despite him having a lot of hard-hitting raps, he also still has a lot of moments where he's talking about seeing his kids grow and how that impacts him. So when you look at his counterparts in comparison to Drake, it makes you really wonder, when will Drake grow up and see that maturity that the people fiend for? Because looking for a function at nearly 40 years old just isn't it. And I think at this point, the only real exception to that is maybe Future. But even in Future's defense, Future's music does still have a certain degree of substance to it, because he does talk about a lot of his own problems and struggles and traumas that he's gone through in his life.
Living in the hills, but I can still feel the sadness coming from the bottom of the trap.
So even though he does primarily have a lot of toxic raps, he still gives people songs like All to Myself and I Lost My Dog. In that case, at least gives people a balance. But we just don't see that balance really in Drake's music anymore. And from the general reception,
that's true. I think that Drake, Take Care was his most mature album, but I also think that that was a transitional album, and that was okay. Yeah, I'm never gonna grow up. I'm never gonna grow past this. You know what I'm saying? Even though I like Nothing Was the Same. I like that album as best. I believe that's his best. But he still had, to me, he peaked after that. Like after that, he fell down. He started slowly declining in maturity and in his music.
of this project, which hasn't been good outside of Drake's core fan base.
That Drake album is not for little boys who's not in tune with their feelings. That Drake and Party Next Door album is not for little boys.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
The vast majority of past fans and casual listeners are also tired of this direction he's been in. And none of this is to mean that Drake isn't talented. He is one of the most talented artists in the world. But over the past couple of years, we haven't really seen that talent put to full use. And the usual Drake formula just isn't working as well as it used to. And this new album is a prime example of that. There's stronger moments like on Gimme a Hug or on Nokia in the first part of the song, but then there's also really low lows in this album, like Meet Your Padre.
To meet your madre, pay my respects to your padre, mi amor.
Come on, bro. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, bro. Listen, bro. Oh my God. Nasty work.
Which should have never even made the project, better yet even be recorded, because it's horrible.
Fool this man!
The second time he's done this like Spanish song when Drake can't speak Spanish really well and he does an accent that just sounds so cringeworthy.
I live like Sopranos, Italianos. I've been el chico for 50 años.
And the song itself is just poorly written. Like, the album cover for this project is two Canadian dudes standing in front of the Marilyn Monroe Tower. Why on earth do you need a Spanish song? And it's like the Spanish already sounds bad, but he also mixes it with the Caribbean influence, which just makes it sound worse.
If anything is it went from worse to worse, sir.
Drake has dated women young enough that he could be their own
Worse to worser. Hey man, we need to start making our own words up, man. Worser. Fuck it. That's worser.
father. Why do you need to make this song? A lot of the other songs on this album sound pretty much identical to themselves. Like, they have the same drum pattern and BPM to them, and it sounds just like a regular Party Next Door Drake song. To be honest, if this album would have came out in like 2015, 2016, it probably would have been received a lot better, but there's nothing really on this project that we haven't seen them do, and all the new aspects that we hear from them aren't really done really well, which is kind of the same problem Drake had with Honestly Nevermind. I personally listen to a lot of different music, so I appreciate him kind of stepping outside of the box, outside of his regular routine. But one thing about Drake's versatility is that though he can do a lot of different things, he can't do them really well. And when you compare a house album like Honestly Nevermind and stack it up to Renaissance, it just looks really bad. Like, yes, Drake, you can make this certain type of music, but you don't take it to any further depth. You don't add anything new to the genre outside of something you've already done before. As opposed to when Beyonce did Renaissance, where
that's because he's not a real artist. People write his stuff for him, and he's a cover artist. Like, he covers the writtens that people write for him. I mean, rap-wise, when he was coming up, he was pretty good at that, but I don't think that he knows how to make music. He has to get people around him who semi-know how to make certain things, and that's it. But, yeah, I'm telling you right now, it's just... yeah, he don't know what he's doing.
You see Beyonce pulling from different historical elements of house music and black influence on that. Not only did the album feature a range of sound on it, it's also highly cohesive, and it had people playing the album front to back in clubs, which is insane. So when you go back and listen to an album like Honestly Nevermind, it really just feels like H&M music. Or
like, a lot of his music is compatible with shopping.
It doesn't really have a sound that really draws your attention to it. And it just sounds like background music that was created because you had the ability to do it and you had the interest in the music, but you didn't want to take it to anything further or add anything new to the genre, which ultimately just waters down the music, which all ties back to Drake not maturing as an artist and just being okay where he's at because it's been successful for him for so long. And due to Drake being so massive as an artist, when he does things like this, it actually holds back the entirety of the genre and the other artists in that same space. Because the magnitude of his stardom, he sets the standard for what comes after. And when you keep the bar so low for yourself because that's what it works for you, it diminishes the overall quality of other bodies of work because it doesn't force other artists to actually evolve. And that's why moments...
That's what I've been saying. This is the reason why when, what's his name, Anton Daniels said that Drake had a better catalog than Kendrick, I had to shut the video off because I was like, ain't no way in the world you're going to sit here and say, this guy basically talks about the same stuff you are totally against. And you say that Kendrick and you basically talk about the same thing, just packaged different. But y'all talk about the same thing: family, love, respect, honor, dignity, right? And you say Drake catalog is better, and Drake catalog totally goes against everything you stand for. But you say his catalog's better. Like, come on, bro.
like Igor winning over DJ Khaled's album is so important for music as a whole. That shows other artists in the same space and the artists that are coming into the space that you can still pour high levels of passion and creativity into your artistry and win. And the vast majority of Drake's music lacks that passion and creativity that it used to have. And that's why even though Drake is the most commercially successful and has the most hits, his artistry doesn't match up to someone like Kanye, Kendrick, Tyler, or Travis, because each of them make it a point to bring creativity to the highest level. Less so with Kanye right now because his music has just been lackluster as well over the past couple years, and then also he's just a terrible person now. But that's for a whole nother video. Regardless, Drake is at the point in his career where it doesn't really matter what he releases, it's gonna do some degree of numbers. Even this album is on pace to do about 250,000 first week, and it did break the record for the biggest R&B and soul album in Apple Music history by first day streams worldwide. Even though the first week sales are a little bit lower than what Drake traditionally.
Well, I mean, who's really? A lot of these are just. How would I say this? A lot of these records that Drake are breaking, like nobody's really in that class doing that music. Who's doing that music over there? I can see if there was 5 different artists over there that was really big, that was doing R&B soul type of music. Nobody's really doing that no more. So of course he's gonna break that record. Like, come on now.
They're overall still pretty good. The album does look like it's doing pretty well on Apple Music, but not for Spotify, being Spotify is much bigger of a platform by like 6 times. Since releasing on Valentine's Day, it has seen a 60% decrease in streams in the US Spotify, so it'll be interesting to see what the second week sales for this album look like. There has been conspiracy that the album is being suppressed by streams on Spotify and by UMG, which to be honest is just false. And a lot of people were claiming this because when the album initially dropped, it was kind of harder to find. You either had to search it up or go to their direct profiles and wasn't being advertised just yet, but this all happened because the album was just turned in super late. Ideally, DSPs want artists to turn in albums about 2 weeks early just to make sure they can get everything in the system and everything's working right, but when it comes to major artists, they usually push the deadline back as far as they can. Drake has also hinted at having a solo project coming, and if this album is anything similar to what that project's gonna be like, personally I think he should just keep it. Regardless, we'll see what it looks like in the future. Let me know how you feel about the album in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Cacophony.
All right, man. Yeah, man. I'm telling y'all, and I've been saying this, Drake has not matured as an artist. His music is very lackluster. We are witnessing the fall off of one of the people say is one of the greatest to ever do it. I'm telling y'all now, it's not, how would I say this? It's just not, it's not something that I think that we need anymore. I think back in the day we could say we needed this Drake type of music, but now music has moved on and it left Drake behind. And of course he still has his core fans, but even his core fans are turning on him. Look at all them TikTok videos. You know what I'm saying? You notice, you see it. They all turning it back because they like, yeah, man, you ain't never grow up as an artist. You still singing and rapping about stuff that when we was kids, man. Like, we got problems. We got a mortgage. We got bills now. Like, you ain't talking about that. So, and you comparing yourself to 19-year-old girls? Like, come on, bro. It's just not cool. All right, man. Have yourself a good afternoon. See y'all. Peace. Bye.